Okay, so find each value of f of x equals negative or equals 10x plus 3x squared, and then g of x equals 5x squared minus 8x. Okay, now make sure that you're copying this down. Why? This should be an easy grade, right? If you're following along and you're copying everything that I copied down. So take good notes, you get an easy grade. All right, so what's the f mean? It just tells me I'm using that function right there, right? Okay, it's also the same thing as the output. What's my x value? Negative 3. I'm just going to put it in for each x right there. Negative 30. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Copy it down. Write it down so you know. Got to have all the information down to get credit for it. Hayden, are you writing this down? Looks like you're playing with your head. Okay, which function am I using on number 5? The second one, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it over. I'm going to go ahead and put a in there. Basically, just replace the x with the a. Got to do anything else there? No. The square's on the a, it's not on the 5. I'm done then. That's going to be my answer right here. Okay, for questions 6 through 7, state whether each equation or function is linear. Okay, if no, explain your reasoning. Number 6, yes or no? Is it linear or not? It's not. Why? Yeah, more importantly though, it's a fraction with what on the bottom? A variable, right? Okay, so the reason why it's not linear is because you have a variable in the denominator. Hopefully I spelled that right. Okay, number 7, linear or not linear? What form should I put it in? I put it in slope intercept, which means move that over there. Just simply changes to a positive. X is raised to the what power? First power, so yes, is linear. And those are pretty simple. Everybody good? Okay, number 8. Write the equation of 5 halves x minus 9 equals ay in standard form. Identify a, b, and c. What's standard form? Can anybody tell me? You'll need to know this for ACT. Probably have a few of these on there. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Write that down. The main thing that you have to, a couple main things that you have to remember. The first thing that you have to understand is that x and y have to be on the same side. Alright, that's what makes it standard form. Everybody clear on that? The second thing that you have to understand about standard form is you can't have any what? Right. Can't have any fractions. Okay, so the way you do this, the first thing I want to do is get x and y on the same side. Okay, so if I take something and move it to the other side, what changes? The sign just changes, right? Okay, so if I take this, move it over there, and take this and move it over here, that's what I end up getting. Yeah. Are you writing all this other stuff down? You sure? It doesn't look like you are. You gotta make sure you have it all written down if you want credit for it.
I wrote the first part after that.
Good. Make sure you get it all. So I want you to know, because these are easy. Okay, now, what's my next step? I can't have any what?
Fraction.
So how do I get rid of the fraction?
Multiply by 2.
Good. And understand that these two are tied together, aren't they? Okay, so I have to multiply the whole thing by what? By 2. If I do something to the left side, the rule is got to do it to the right side also. That changes that to 5x minus what? Equals 18.
Whatever the bottom is, so it's 5 over 2.
That's what you multiply by. Whatever the denominator is, that's what you're going to multiply by. Okay, good question. Okay, what do you know about x-intercepts? Something's always true. If it's an x-intercept, which means it goes through the x-axis, right? What's always true? That. What do I know, though? Could it help me figure this out? Y is always going to be what? 0. If it's a y-intercept, x is always going to be 0. So now, can I use that number to help me find either one of these two? I could, couldn't I? We're going to do the x-intercept first. So I'm going to take 3y, which is this. I'm going to take that 0, plug it in for y. Because all I need to find is the x. Move the 6 over here. Pretty easy, right? And then I just do, to find the y-intercept, I'm going to take the same equation and basically do the same thing. Only this time I'm going to put 0 in for what? The x. Like that, put it in for the x. Oops. Okay, for questions 10 through 12, we'll graph each one of these inequalities. Okay, now when I'm dealing with inequalities, okay, you've got to you can eliminate some answer choices just by simply knowing whether it's a solid line or a dashed line, or if it's negative or positive, right? Okay, so on this one, first thing that you need to determine is whether it's solid or dotted. Because your calculator, when you input your values on a calculator, it will not show you dashed or solid. Does everybody understand that? Because most of you are going to want to use your calculator, which is fine. Is this dashed or solid?
Solid.
It's a solid line, so write that in there. Line is going to be solid. Now to graph it, the first thing I got to do is make sure it's in what form? Slope-intercept form or functional notation, right? Which basically means that y has to be what? It's got to be first or by itself, correct? Okay, now, here's another thing that you need to remember. Make a note up here. When you're dealing with inequalities and you multiply or divide by a negative number, what happens to your sign? It flips.
What happens when you multiply by a negative number?
Yeah. Okay, so make a note up here. Flip the sign when you divide or multiply by a negative. And it usually occurs when you're moving something away from the y. Right? Like if you have a number in front of the y, that's usually when it occurs. Okay, so don't forget that because it'll mess everything up. Right here, I'm going to move that to the other side. So if I just take it from one side and move it to the other, it just turns into what happens to the sign. It changes, right? Okay, grab your calculator. These are really easy. Okay, so what you want to do here, the first thing that you have to change, you notice on mine, it has, instead of a little line right here, it has a what?
Triangle.
It's got a little triangle there. Now, if you notice that this triangle is pointing where? It's pointing up. Okay? You got to think of the corner. You got to think of the corner. This corner right here or this corner down here. Okay? Now, the first thing you want to determine here, okay, is which way is that sign pointing? It's pointing to the y. Is everybody clear on that? So this is going to be a less than or equal to. So my triangle, Cheyenne, are you okay? Sure. Your triangle should be pointing where? Down or up?
Up.
Should be pointing down. Okay, so I want to come over here and I want to change this, hit enter. Okay, and then I'm going to scroll down. On yours, if you just keep hitting the equal sign, okay, it'll change it. Does everybody understand that? Okay, for mine, and some of you guys have got the newer models, I just scroll down, hit enter. Oops. And you should get this triangle here. Okay, then it just becomes a matter of plugging Make sure if you got a negative, you use the negative button. So +2. Graph it. There you go. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Delete.
Yeah, I thought it said that's an off.
My bad. That's what it should look like. Again, your calculator is not going to show you solid or dashed. You're going to have to determine that and then draw it accordingly. Now, the fact that you have a multiple choice test, you should be able to eliminate some answer choices based on that. And then a lot of them, you can, if you say below or above, you can eliminate probably a couple more after that. Is everybody clear on that? Okay. Number 11, top line. Solid or dashed? Solid line. Okay, maybe it'll eliminate some answer choices. Next thing is I got to get it in what form? Functional notation or slope-intercept, right? Now, watch what I do here. I'm going to try to avoid having to multiply or divide by a negative number. Does everybody understand that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here, which is going to get rid of what? The negative. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over to the other side, which will add a negative to the x. Everybody with me? That way I don't have to do anything with the sign. I don't have to flip it or nothing. I don't have to worry about it. I do have to do what though? Next. Yeah, is the y by itself? Is the y by itself right now? No. So I got to move it and get rid of it. So like Riley's saying, we want to multiply it by 2. Now, I also, if I do it to the left side, I do it to the right. Rule. But that should be pretty easy. This it just cancels out. Negative 2x plus 4. I mean, I could do that right now. Down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. Solid line. Which way is the inequality pointing? Away or to the right?
Yeah, you go up.
So I shade everything but. If I wanted to plug it into my calculator, what's my symbol on the far left got to look like? It's got to be pointing to the top right-hand corner. It's all determined on what that is. Everybody with me? This is on your calculator. Okay. You look confused about it. Okay. Okay, now, this is an inequality, but you also have what added to it?
Absolute value.
Absolute value, good. And you have to remember with absolute values, you have to treat it kind of like a variable, which means it needs to be by itself. You have to, if it has anything out here, outside of it, then I have to resolve it first. I have to get rid of it. Everybody with me? Is it a solid or dashed line? It's dashed, right? Dashed or dotted. It's a dashed line. Okay, so I may be able to eliminate some answer choices. Okay, beyond that, what I'm going to do is use my calculator. Okay, hopefully you remember the buttons. Okay, so my first thing I'm going to go here, I'm going to hit clear and clear this out. Do I need to change this?
Yeah.
Okay, which way is it pointing? Away?
It's going to the right.
It's pointing to the right, so it needs to be...
Greater than.
Okay, so I got to flip this, right? Hit enter. Okay, till it's facing up. Because I'm going to shade above. Everything, all my Y's are greater than whatever's on the right. Go back here. Okay, now, here's the button. You guys ready? Everybody watching? You want to go second math. Or I'm sorry, just hit the math button. That's my ball. Okay, go to the math button, and then you want to go to the right where its number is highlighted. Okay, what's the first thing on the list? ABS, parentheses. Hit it. On the newer ones, it'll show you the absolute value. On yours, on the 84s, if you're using that one, it just shows you what? Parentheses. ABS plus parentheses, right? Okay. So now I just plug it in. Again, if there's negative, use the negative sign. Was it +2? Is mine right? Okay. Hit graph. Again, don't forget, calculator will not show you dashed or dotted. I mean, it won't show you dashed or solid. You're going to need to know that.
Why did it shade inside of it? Because on mine, it shaded everything. It made the triangle and shaded all the way on the outside.
Okay, so you're going to have to change your go here. You're going to have to change that
Right.
because the inequality is pointing where?
Right.
So away from it, what? Okay, which means you shade above. If it's pointing to the Y, then you would shade below, right? What type of function is represented by this equation? What's x raised to? Second power, so this would be what? Quadratic. For raised to the third, then it would be cubic. If it's raised to the first power, then it's just went over it. Linear. Makes just a line. What shape does this make? A U. Okay, if it's facing up, then the x is what? Positive. If it's facing down, the x is negative. Which x does it have to be? It has to be the x that's raised to the second power. Because you're going to have some other x's out there, right? Negative, positive. Find the slope of the line that passes through this point. These 2 points. What formula would I use? No, that's slope intercept. I'm just looking for the slope.
It's like x1 minus
Write this down. y2 minus y of 1, x of 2 minus x of 1. Slope formula, right? And then I want to label the points. Okay, now, you guys remember me telling you what's the biggest mistake that everybody makes? You got to keep your minus separate from your negative sign. Everybody clear on that? Okay, 'cause so when you start inputting these numbers, what's my y2? My y of 1 is 9. Okay, on the bottom, x of 2 is, and then x of 1, here's where it gets a little tricky. You already got a minus there, so my x of 1 is negative 7.
And then we get a plus.
And so this is going to change to a plus, right? Okay, because we don't subtract in algebra, we just add the opposite. Everybody understand that? Okay, that's where everybody gets tripped up. What's the negative 5 combined with negative 9?
Negative 14.
And then negative 6 combined with positive 7. Those will be on the test too. Really should be pretty easy.
You can just plug that in the calculator.
That's it. Yeah, I might be able to do it in calculator.
No, I can play it
Do what?
anyway. Into something different.
Oh,
To give
I
you
thought
syntax error?
I thought you just put it over the fraction and then you put the 7 and the 6 next to each
You
other.
may have to put it in parentheses, the top and the bottom. Yeah. Just play with it a little bit. If it, you know what I'm saying? Put your top part in parentheses,
Yeah.
So it's close, just like it.
and then put a division sign between it, and then make sure you put that in parentheses, and it should come out right.
So it's nothing else, it's just negative 14 for the slope. I did it. Negative 14.
Did it work now? Good. Let's slope the line that is perpendicular to the graph. Okay, so you got y equals negative 3x. The first thing that you have to determine what is, write this down, what is the slope of the line given? What's the slope of the line that's given? Hello, you guys awake?
0.
No. It's negative 3, isn't it? Over what, Millie? Over 1. Okay. That's what we got to find first. Okay, so if it's perpendicular, what's the slope of the other line going to be? Well, all I do is take this and do what? Flip it, good. And then attach the opposite sign, which is going to be what in this case? I'm just kidding. Okay? Yeah, you said why. This is my answer.
What was the answer?
You good? Okay. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that has a slope of 2 and passes through this point. Okay, so what form do I want to put it in? Okay, can I start with that and just plug numbers in? No, because I don't know what. I don't know B. I know the slope, but I don't know B. And I can't get it from the information that's given, right? Because what did we say about the y-intercept earlier? It is what? 0 and whatever y is. Everybody understand that? Okay, so what is given to me? I got the slope, right? And I have at least one point. That's what I do have. I'm not going to circle that. I've got at least one point, and I've got the slope. So what form could I start with? now?
Y mx plus b.
No, that's what we just said there. We can't start with that because I don't know what B
The
is.
other one next to it. Can't start that either, huh? How about
Well, listen, this is just explaining what that is.
what was the question?
If I can't start in slope-intercept form, what form can I start in? There's three of them.
That one that we just did. Okay.
Standard form, slope-intercept form, and then the third one was, what do I have, guys?
Slope.
I got a point and a
Slope.
slope, so I can start with point, slope. Okay, so point slope form is y minus y of 1 equals m, x minus x of 1. That's point slope form. Write that down, please. Trying to get you guys to think a little bit. Point slope form. Okay, so x of 1, y of 1. Then it just becomes a matter of plugging everything in. Again, keep your minus separate from your negative. Y minus negative 5. My slope is 2. X minus 1. And then just simplify. Y plus 5 equals 2x minus 2. Subtract 5 from both sides. A lot. That will be on the test. So make sure you write it down. Probably a strong likelihood that you're going to have a couple of these on the ACT too. So write it down. Okay, so write an equation in slope-intercept form. Does that look very similar to what we just did? Okay, for a line that passes through this point, which is going to be x of 1 and y of 1. Okay, that's my point. So which form do you think I'm going to start with?
X1.
The point slope form, right? Y minus y of 1. The thing we have to determine, though, is what? It has to be parallel to this equation here. What do I know about parallel lines? What is the same? The slope, right? So what's the slope of this line?
2x.
Well, I got to change it, don't I? I got to get it in slope-intercept form, which means I got to move that. And then I got to divide by 2. So my slope is that. So the slope I'm going to use for this line is going to be the same as that one. You guys with me so far? Okay. So now I'm just going to plug everything in. Y minus 3, x minus a negative 2. Again, keep your minus separate from your negative. And then just simplify. What's 3/2 times 2? You guys are going to be in trouble. You guys understand you only have this test and one other test. Hello, are you guys with me? You have this test and one other test. Makes up over half of your grade, 50% of your grade. So you might want to think about waking up a little bit. What's 3/2 of 2?
What?
3/2 of 2.
Uh,
How do I solve this? What's 3/2 times 2?
Yo, you put a 1 under the 2. Dang it.
Don't those two just cancel out and I'm left with -3? Okay. Add 3 to both sides. Y equals -3/2 x.
At least the next one be easy.
That one's easy too. Yeah, I haven't seen a hard one yet.
So the answer to that one was y equals
Yeah.
-3.
We wrote an equation for another line other than the one that they gave me that makes them parallel, right? So they got to have the same slopes. Okay, so yeah, like DJ is saying, this is pretty easy. Just plot the points. First point's what? 8, 12. Let's go 8 and then up to 12. Plot a point. 6 and 9. 10 and 14. 9 and 14. 7 and 11. Great coffee. 10 and 15. This is all 2-5 stuff. Now you want to jot that down in your textbook. Okay, so once I do that, then I got to determine the line of fit here. I want to use 2 ordered pairs to write in prediction equation that I'm going to figure for 20 field goals attempted. Now, if you notice, field goals attempted is on which part of the graph? Is it on the x-axis or the y-axis? It's on the x-axis, which makes it the what? Input value for x. So if I just find an equation, Lily, are you with us? Okay, you need to watch. If we find out what x is, or if I find an equation where I can plug an x value in, okay, then they'll give me what I need to find, right? First thing right here, I need to find a slope. I'm going to use this point right here because it's the furthest point on the graph. It's the lowest point. And then what other point do you think I would use? The highest one, which is that one. What's the order pair for it? 10, 15. Everybody with me? Okay, so this would be x of 1, x of 2. This would be y of 1, y of 2. Put that in there, pencil that in so you know, you see it. X of 1, x of 2, y of 1, y of 2. (15 minus 9), 10 minus 6, 6 over 4, right? 3/2. Okay, so I've got a whole bunch of points I could use, and then I've got a slope. Which form would I start with? Good. And which point would I use, though, Millie? Which one would you think would probably be the best use?
Y1.
Yeah, I've already labeled it, haven't I? Okay, so I've already labeled it, x of 1 and y of 1, so I'm going to use 6 and 9. Y minus what? 9. And then my slope is 3/2. X minus what? What's 3/2 times 6? Well, I mean, we've been doing this like forever. 1 and 3. 3 times 3 is what? And then I got to attach a what? A negative. Add 9 to both sides. Y equals 3/2 x. Now would those cancel, or what would it be? Technically it'd be what? Wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because there is a 0 value on the graph, which is right here. Okay, so now I'm going to take this part. That is my prediction equation that I'm going to use to answer number 20. Oh, wait. Actually, yeah. So now y equals 3/2. And instead of writing x, what am I going to put? $20, right? Put that over 1, and then just multiply. 1 and 10, 3 times 10. So he can expect to make probably 30 goals if he tries, or whatever.
I don't.
He can
that
score
doesn't
30
seem
points.
Right.
Well, I think you get points for assists too.
Okay. I was gonna say if he's only getting 20 goals or attempted, how can he get 30?
Maybe they're talking about a football game.
Maybe. What?
Or it's a basketball player.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Basketball player.
There's field goals and basketball.
Yeah, shot.
yeah.
Every shot you take is a field goal.
That is a field goal? I've never heard field goal.
Really?
Except
You never even
football.
said that on TV?
Anytime you take a shot, that's what?
Field goal.
That's a field goal.
Shot.
It's a field
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're doing stats, what do they always talk about?
Field
Field
goal.
goal.
Field goal.
That's field goal percentage.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
I've never heard of that either.
I don't know why you're surprised. I've heard that guy.
And
Everybody's
basketball,
heard
I
of
thought it was your shooting percentage.
Except for you.
Field goal percentage.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
you said
When you think, when someone says field goal,
I think of football.
exactly.
Well, yeah, but I
What do you
mean,
think about
You ever heard someone say he's shooting 40% from the
So are
field?
there field goals in baseball?
well, no, we don't have any like posts, or you don't have to shoot it into anything. You know, there's no like field goal, no goal post. Soccer, you got like
So you're saying the basketball?
hit it, it's a
the
net.
rim is the field goal?
more or less. I mean, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't make it up. Okay, page 102 in your textbook will help you answer these. What does that look like?
it's increasing.
Looks like steps, doesn't it? Okay, so determine whether the graph represents a step function, constant function, identity function, absolute value, or piecewise. Step function, domain and range. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little tricky. Because I don't know how they're going to format it on the text. The domain is going to be all real what?
Numbers.
Okay, numbers. Here's what you have to understand, and this goes way back to your pre-algebra days. All real numbers includes what? All real numbers includes like whole numbers. It includes whole numbers. Also includes what? Fractions. You guys understand that? Now, one thing that you have to check on is if there's a solid dot over a open dot. If there's a solid dot over an open, I can include that number, right? Which is what on the x-axis? 0. Everybody with me? Okay, so that number is going to be what? 2. Can I include all the numbers that are in between there? Which is going to include fractions, decimals, all that, right? Okay, so that means all real numbers. All right. Here's the tricky part. Are the lines extending down here? They're not, are they? So now, is it a true statement if I say all real numbers? It's not a true statement, is it? So on your range, you have to say all real integers. Just the word integers means that I'm just including the whole numbers and not the fractions. Does everybody understand that? Don't let that little simple thing trick you up, because they may put it on there like that. They may say all real numbers, all real numbers. That should be pretty simple as long as you remember. Okay? And then you will have a bonus. And your bonus will be in this form. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's easy. Super easy. I'm going to use the formula to start out with. Write it down. This is going to be 5 points. It'll be worth 5 points. Super, super, super easy. Do I follow the same format that I did earlier when I'm figuring slope? Yeah. X of 1, y of 1. X of 2, y of 2. What is the 1? It's my m on my slope, right? Okay. It says 1024.
It's 10:25.
Maybe you want to, this is the last one if you want to stay. Or you don't have to, you can leave, I don't
I
care.
just have an appointment at 10:30.
Huh?
I have an appointment at 10:30.
What?
Where's your appointment at?
Choctaw.
I'm always late for my appointments. They won't take you if you're like 5 minutes late?
I don't know, but I'm not gonna do it.
Alright, whatever. Okay, so, at this point now, all I need to do is plug them in. Do I still keep my minus separate from my negative? Yeah, I'm still going to follow all those rules. But instead of for y of 1, what am I going to put? I'm going to put k. Okay, so 4 minus a negative k is what it should look like on top. And then on the bottom, it's going to be what? Now, what something I should do is I should erase that equal, because it's going to equal what? 1. Now, at this point, what you want to do is put that over 1. What does that look like? Huh? Yeah, you're right. Say it louder, Parker. Don't be afraid. It's a proportion. How do we solve proportions? We cross multiply. The one thing I may want to do is probably simplify it first, right? And what I mean by that is saying that's a plus plus. It's going to be 4 plus k. And then negative 1 combined with negative 2 is what? Cross multiply. So we got negative 3 equals 4 plus k. Subtract 4 from both sides. Now k is negative 7. Holy cow, that's so easy. Okay, now, how many of you, did anybody need the second sheet? Did you get sheet 2?
There's another one? Okay, yeah, I need that.
Okay.
They're doing that too.
Guys, you need to work on this. Adrian, you're not going?
One of my friends sent me.
Let me get your mouth first. Did you take any notes?
Yeah.
Use these. You can take them all. Okay, now, so. Yeah, where do you need to So, once you working on that second sheet that you just got, okay, Thursday, how many of you are in the morning session? Raise your hand high. Most everybody.
What's the names?
What was it, A through L?
A through K.
A through K?
In the morning?
Do you need some help on your last name?
In the morning. Well, I didn't know the H kids in the morning.
Does he need some help?
What's my last name?
Your first letter?
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm in the morning there.
I'm just joking, Logan.
Like,
Alright, so, like I said earlier, Wednesday, pretty much a wash, right? Okay, so what we'll do is you got a couple days to work on this. And listen, I'm not going to give you credit unless you have work shown on that first one. Everybody understand? We just recorded it, so if you need to go back, you better go back. I'm serious. I'm not going to give you credit unless you got it written down. I thought I was pretty clear about that, right? Okay. I don't think it's fair to sit there and just stare off into space and you get credit for it. It's not going to happen. It's not fair to the person that's been working hard. Okay? So, work on this one that I just gave you. Got a couple days, right? We come back Thursday. If you have any questions, what will I do? I'll go over them. I'll work them out if you need me to. Whatever you need me to do, we'll get down on Thursday. And then Thursday, you'll have what else on Thursday? What do we normally have on the day before? Like a bonus, right? You'll have a bonus review. Okay, now the bonus review will be due at the end of the hour on Thursday, so we grade it, so you can get your bonus put in, right? Then that way we can take the test when? Friday. Alright. And the test is only going to have probably 22 questions on it. And it's going to be 1 or 2 of 50% of your grade. Don't take it for granted. Yeah, well, you just have to take it like Monday when you get back. Oh, yeah, we can do that if you'd like.
You have the bonus ready. Bonus right now.
That's the third one down.